Next question that came in, I think I'm pitching too early. I get on calls and immediately start talking about my solution, how it works, success stories, features, basically giving a presentation. Then at the end, prospects say it sounds interesting, but they're not sure if it's right for them. I'm realizing I need to qualify better before pitching, but I don't know how to structure that conversation. If I spend too much time asking questions, I feel like prospects get impatient and just say, tell me what you do. If I pitch first, I waste time on unqualified prospects.
You know what's funny is the word pitching and pitch was used. I don't know, maybe I lost count. It was so many, I ran out of fingers. Wrong mindset, completely wrong mindset. Pitching means I just want you to hear me, right? That's not, there's a term that we use in sales, and especially younger people get into sales or newer people. It's like selling is not telling. You have to ask your way there. You got to engage with them the whole way. And what happened to discovery? He kind of touched base on it a little bit. Like, should I qualify them? You think you should ask some more questions? Yeah, you know it internally. You know it, but see, this person's been trained to pitch, 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 and it's not working because they know that's not natural. That's not a natural feeling. Their feeling came in. You got to do discovery. You got to do relationship building. You got to do recon. We like to call it recon. You kind of figure out before you, and I hate to even say the word pitch, but before you present the options to them, you need to know exactly everything that they are either looking for. And if they don't know what they're looking for, it solves the problems they have. You can't uncover those unless you spend a fair amount of time navigating through and asking questions. And when you're asking those questions, what's the most important thing we do when you ask those questions is you tie down. Oh, okay. So you're saying if it could eliminate this, then that's something you're looking to do then? Yes. Okay. You can't just ask them. You got to ask them with the gentle tie downs in there along the way to bring them with you. And then you present. You don't, you
Right.
want to sit there and throw them a 90-mile-an-hour baseball. That's what you want. No, you're not pitching. You're laying out options for them. Right. So anyway, I don't know. I
Well,
feel bad for that
I
person.
always think we were buying a handful of years ago, we're buying a new phone system for our office. And so I call a couple of different people who are sell phone systems in the area. Go, hey, I'm looking, and they go, oh, we'll come by and I'll show you what we've got. Perfect. So the first one, I meet in the conference room and we sit down and uh and so most people are taught rapport and relation. This is 4 steps to a sale: rapport and relationship, presentation, overcoming objections, and close. So this guy comes in. So this is probably what's on most people's mind when they're selling, and their idea of rapport and relationship. You have to, you got to feel this. Chuck used the word natural. A rapport and relationship is just, all right, I'm trying to find my way to start. How do I start? And so this guy, we sit down and he goes, hey, how about those Twins? And I go, yeah, so baseball, right? Because we're in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. He assumes that I watched the game last night. I don't follow baseball. So Chuck had mentioned recon, and feeling this out. And so before you launch into something, when you're just, even when you're doing rapport and relationship, you've got to, you've got to take other cues other than what you think that you should say. Just because I'm a guy and happen to be in Minnesota in the summertime, you think I'm a Twins fan. That's a dangerous assumption that didn't go right. And I thought, since we do this for a living, I thought, okay, here we go, and here we went. So I go, well, no, don't really follow baseball. And then he's like, he doesn't have anything beyond that. One of the things that we teach people to do, if you're actually going to go in and see somebody at their place, look around. What do they have on their walls? You go, hey, yeah, it's just looking what. And so you start asking stuff about them. You lead question, who leads the question? The person asking the question, or the person responding?
The
The question
conversation's
answer.
led by, right, the guy
Always
asking the question. Give him the
right. So
tidbit. Give him the free tidbit right now. What is the best question we've ever seen when you ask, what do you ask that client?
how'd you get into this business? You go, man, how'd you
Eh,
get into this business? And now they're talking and you go, oh, how about that? How'd you do
mhm,
this? How'd you do that? How'd that go? Well, what happened next? And now I'm in a conversation that I'm interested in.
right.
So But that just naturally, and so now you've got to, you can't talk for 18 hours about this because people get burned out. But you're aware, that you're having an interesting conversation, and then you have to understand that this can go a little bit, and then we have to lead it back to, and I go, okay, so when we're looking at phone systems, are you thinking this or that? Oh, I was thinking
Mhm.
more like this. Okay, and then you go, okay, would you use it like this or like that, or would this be better? You know what? So you're asking questions along the way. This is not a presentation;
Right.
it's a conversation. But this guy, after the twins thing, he goes, "Oh well, we've got the XYZ, 10,000, the Nimbus 2000 phone system, and it does this, 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 and man, you people are gonna love it because this pops up and goes over here and goes." And I go, Hold on a second." I go, "Do you even know what I want?" And he kind of went. He just paused and like, "No." I go, how might you know what I want? So then you could sell me. If you have that, I could then buy it. He goes, "Well, I don't know. Maybe you could ask me what I want."
Right.
And he goes, "Okay, well, try it. What do you want?" Well, here's what I and then we did not buy that phone system. And not that because he didn't have it, just he didn't have what we needed, but it can be really clunky up front. It can be clunky up front. You get into you fumble around with a important relationship because you aren't taking clues. You're not asking the best question. That if you're selling to somebody who's in business, you come in and go, "Hey, how you doing? How did you ever get into this business? Oh,
Right.
I saw this or I saw that. How'd you get into this?" Or if you're at somebody's home, you go, "Oh, you've got a beautiful home. How do you decide on this neighborhood, or how do you decide on
Mhm.
whatever?" You ask the oh, and this unlocks so much emotion and conversation.
Right.
It tells you where the conversation should start going. And then you that's the way you go. And then you bring it back to whatever it is that you want the conversation to be. Oh, okay, I see. So in a phone system, then would you want this or that? So now we're on track.
Right.
And after a really good rapport and relationship that didn't last too long, because if you're clunky about it, hey, how about those twins? Oh, do you follow the links? No. Dude, what about this? What about do you grasp at straws? You don't know what to say. I'm getting tired of you already. Or you can ask me how I got into this business. And, oh my God, have I got a story for you? And I'm interested in it because it's my story, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
that's
And you got
you
to ask
understand.
questions along the way. Like when they're describing this to you, you don't just go, "Oh, okay." So anyway, we have the
Yeah.
Nimbus
Or
2000. Yeah.
people go, "Yeah, yeah." But whenever you hear, "Yeah, yeah," that means they don't give a shit. They have
Yeah.
no care
That
about
is
what
so
you
true.
just said. They did not listen. They go, "Yeah," they're just waiting to talk. They're waiting to pitch.
Yep.
They're waiting, "Yeah, yeah." And you'll hear it. Within the next 48 hours, you'll hear it. "Yeah, yeah." And then somebody
Yeah.
they'll
Yeah.
move on. "Yeah, yeah." And they
Yeah.
didn't hear, they don't care what you said. They didn't even hear it. But somebody who's good at what this craft,
Mhm.
they're like really picking up on everything. "Oh, really? Was that blue or was it red? You got the man. And was that this or that? Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah." And away they go with the story. And again, they're going to get tired of it because it's their story. And they
Right.
could talk all day, but then you'll have to get them back around, which is the opposite of this question asker's concern and problem is they get tired of listening to him because he's talking about him and shit I don't care about. The other person just doesn't care about because you're not asking about them and trying to figure out their stuff. You're telling about you.
And along with that, and the reason I think one of the most important reasons to do that, one, I think I'm naturally that way. I love hearing other people's story. I think that's great because
Yeah.
there's tidbits you can pick up along the way that might apply to things that I'm working on. But the other part, and I think one of the most important reasons to do that is because we bring it back to pitching, right? If I'm going to pitch someone or sell them, I want them to talk for a while because then I know how they process information because how they're talking with me tells me a lot about them, right? Tells me what where their vocabulary is. So I want to be careful of things that I say. Like people that use acronyms when you're dealing with people that aren't, it's like, dude, just stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to talk to them in a language that they understand. We've mastered this great. All you got to do is read this script. They're magical words. And they're using, $10 words that 90% of the population doesn't understand. You're not going to close squadoosh. You're not going to close anything. So no
Mm,
wonder you're struggling. So do the other thing first. Ask them, but they ask them again, how'd you get into this? Or when I'm in someone's home, because we saw a lot of business owners work from home, and they process cards and they work from home. You see an artifact and they go, oh my God, where did you get this statue? And then we're in the south of France and blah, blah, blah. Bingo. And when that happens, you go, I can relate to this person now. Now we can relate openly
mhm.
and less resistance. You know what I mean? Anyway,
Yeah.
I probably belabored it, but
But it's important because most people miss it. It's easy to
yeah,
miss because sales sales training doesn't train it, and people who are in
right.
sales usually don't want it. What they want is the script. Would you give scripts?
Yeah,
Yeah, no. Oh, well, the other company gives scripts.
right.
Okay, but do you realize that's no, what but if you understand, like Chuck said, you listen to them a little bit and you start understanding their language. And when you ask questions and you understand their background and what they're interested in, and now the conversation just ensues. And it's not a you weave you weave where you want to go in with uh, this conversation. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. Chuck said this years ago. He said selling is conversation with a purpose. You know, it's really, you really have to cue in to what they're saying, be interested. If you're not interested in what they're talking about,
Can
it's
have a
hard to
hard time.
yeah, get into something else. It's better to, like, one of the things that I always liked about the business that we're in is that I get to talk to entrepreneurs, and they're doing something, and they have ideas, and they've got dreams, and
Right.
they love opportunity. And so there's all these things that I love. I get to talk
Right.
to somebody who loves the same stuff. It's like, if I loved baseball, man, it'd be cool to go be in the baseball business. How fantastic would that be? I just generally am really interested in people's stories about what
Hmm.
they're interested in, for, like, opportunity wise, being an entrepreneur, and where they want to go and what they're trying to achieve, and the things they've done in the past, and back to how'd you get into this business? Oh man, before I was a drummer in a rock band, and now I saw, I make drums.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind
That's
of
a
stuff you run into. And it's cool. I think it's cool too. Talking opportunity is awesome. And we deal with entrepreneurs. They like opportunity. And if
Yeah.
you're in sales, you must like opportunity because aren't you paid on commission? So you're talking to someone that, you should be interested.